Alright, YouTube, James O'Keefe has done what I was hoping he would do, and that's reaffirm, yes, indeed, they do have a Clinton racist tape. Now, he uses the plural they in his description of this tape. So I'm not sure whether this is Hillary jovially talking to Podesta or Donna Brazile or Tim Kaine, or whether it's Creamer and Fovel talking, or we're just a staff meeting at some level. O'Keefe claims that he managed to penetrate the highest ranks of the Democratic apparatus. If this tape involves any permutation of Clinton, Bill Clinton, Tim Kaine, her running mate, Donna Brazile, or any other high-level DNC official, I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz maybe, or Donna Brazile, or certainly Podesta, sort of campaign manager level. If it involves any of them in a meeting at which anybody's saying anything significantly racially charged without said individual saying, oh, well, that's not nice to say, get the fuck out of the meeting or something, it'll be damaging. How damaging, though, we can't tell yet. If it involves Clinton saying something outright racist, she's done immediately. Then there will be no question about who wins. Right now, I'm predicting that Trump wins the presidency. Because the poll movement combined with what the FBI is doing, I think, is enough to give him enough of an edge, to give him most of the battleground states, possibly some of the lean blue states, to go into the very end of the election under FBI investigation, which is what Clinton is doing, is not playing well to her abilities, especially when she's obviously nervous. She comes out, and instead of addressing the issue directly, she admonishes her voters to vote early. I think that's rather telling. Kaine cancels an event, Clinton cancels, I think, 2 events now. Obama did not, it turns out, cancel all future appearances with Clinton. It appears that he only canceled 1, but at the same time, that's enough. Going into the last stretch, you don't want to be canceling anything. You don't want to have the hassle. You want to be out there every day, every hour of every day, as much as possible campaigning. Otherwise, your turnout in those areas you would have targeted is going to be lower. There's an anecdotal report that she's largely pulled out her presence in Florida and Ohio. I think that's likely because, again, the poll movement towards Trump away from Clinton, plus the fact that they were basically tied there anyway, is going to give him those states. I think she's giving up on Ohio and Florida, possibly giving up on North Carolina. But O'Keefe's tape could tip the balance even further. Instead of Trump winning narrowly or Trump winning by a decent or mediocre margin, it could tip it towards a Trump landslide. And we've got to remember, right now, the Clinton camp and the Republicans are all pressuring the FBI to release all of the info that they've obtained. If I was one of Clinton's advisors, I'd be a lot more hesitant to tell her that she should admonish them to do that. I'd be saying, well, are you sure that this material isn't going to sink your campaign even faster? Because how exactly do you know? This is like Huma's device or Anthony Weiner's device or something that they stumbled on separate to the investigation on your own server. So I would be hesitant to say that it's a great idea to push the FBI if you're Hillary Clinton to release that material. We could also get a major dump from WikiLeaks at any point now, honestly. There are other people saying that they've got the 33,000 emails potentially, either WikiLeaks or someone else, that's an early November release. There are others who have promised that there are other materials out there that may be released as well. It's a shit show. If any of these things is true, Hillary's truly done, has a 0% chance of winning. O'Keefe is the first up to bat, I suppose, but even the FBI at this point might sink her campaign. If Comey comes out, releases the info and says, oh, well, this is why it was concerning. Look at line 3 here and these 2 emails and this attachment here that shows Hillary Clinton fully knowing that Weiner was talking to a 15-year-old or something like that. Oh, it'll destroy her. It'll destroy her overnight. She'll fall to sub-30 levels of support. She'll lose every state or something like that. Johnson will end up picking up some of the bluer states or something along those lines. It could happen. And that's why Hillary Clinton appears to be largely now absent. She comes out, attacks the FBI. Oh, and she hasn't said much since then, I think, in the last 24 or so hours. I think there's probably a reason for that. She can keep on campaigning, but it's probably a lost cause at this point. So O'Keefe is promising that he does have the disparaging and demeaning black people in the worst of ways tape. If he's not exaggerating, and he hasn't so far, in fact, he's understated, I think, the impact of the second tape, easily. As far as the first tape, he was kind of on par. He was above my expectations, but on par with what he said it would be. Second tape, he actually he outdid himself. Third tape was like, yeah, it's pretty good. So this fourth part, if this is actually what it shows, if this is a case of O'Keefe is actually underestimating the impact of his own tape, then Clinton is officially toast. There'll be no question anymore about who's going to win the presidency. I'll point out one last thing. I'm seeing enough Bernie support in this state so that there's now a real question in my mind as to whether Hillary Clinton is going to win the state of Vermont. I think that either Sanders is going to win it. I think he can get over 35% fairly easy as a write-in candidate, or he'll take so much support from Clinton that Trump ends up winning the state of Vermont. So don't count that possibility out either. Or the possibility that Johnson could come out ahead enough in New Mexico to keep Hillary from winning it. Either give it to himself or to Trump. Those are distinct possibilities. Just like Trump can't count on Utah. Not because he's not higher than Hillary at the point, because he is by a few points, but because McMullen is running there, doing fairly well, and could be a spoiler. But yes, I am predicting now Trump will win the presidency. That's my prediction. I don't care what Nate Silver says. It takes him several days to update his likelihoods anyway, based on poll movement. The polls are several days belated in all cases. You've got to remember, the RCP polls you're looking at right now do not take into consideration the FBI's news. They don't take into consideration any continued poll movement. I think that you need less than a week for the polls to move substantially enough for Trump to do basically what Scott Adams was predicting, which is he'll be peaking around the time of the election. Clinton will have hit a trough, and thus she loses, potentially. It depends on what happens in the competitive states, though, more than in the general itself. Trump can be 5 points ahead, and if most of that support is just increased turnout in states that were already red, it doesn't give him the presidency. But the likelihood of that is lower than the opposite, which is that much of that support will be spread around fairly evenly. You could see more suburban turnout. You could see more minority turnout, especially if O'Keefe, again, if he's not exaggerating, Clinton can't count on traditionally Democratic stronghold groups like black voters, maybe Hispanic voters, certainly, young females, social justice warrior types or something like that. So I think she's done. I don't think that she's going to win the election. That's about all. Peace out.